elite, that I was being snobbish or whatnot. I just found things that were more colorful on a page somewhere. I just found fascinations in addition to what was happening on the playground. I was reading about playgrounds in Rangoon. I was reading about playgrounds in London. And I wanted to go there too.
So when and where did you develop the flamboyant swagger that you're known for? I mean, you didn't go from bookworm to, butt-wagging rock and roller overnight.
No. I was in schools when they started integration in Pasadena, California. What year was that? Late 60s, 67, around there. And all through late grade school, junior high, high school, up through junior college. I went to schools that were almost purely minority, black and Hispanic.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. I was bussing across town. The kid next door went to the junior high and high school 4 blocks away. I was bussing across town for an hour and a half every day.
Did you resent that?
No, they became the white kids across town. The kids across town lived next door. But I was involved in a whole different perspective. I grew up in it. And that changed the way I walk. That changed the way I dress. Changed my vocabulary. I speak fluent jive. I mix it up with some 4-syllable stuff, because I got both influences happening there. You hear it in the music. You see it on the show. You can see it in the pictures, the film, And I wasn't aware of what was happening to me at the time. I didn't think there was anything unusual about it at all. It was just where I went to school. It was what I was involved in. I didn't become overly aware of it until I joined up with Van Halen and began to associate with the kids across town and realized that they had a completely different perspective on music and whatever, movement, way we dressed.
So the busing experience left an indelible imprint on your psyche there.
Yeah, on my face too. There was no Prince and Michael Jackson back then to mediate this shit, okay?
You're the other side of the tracks there. Pure and simple. How does the guitar playing of Steve Vai stack up to that of Eddie Van Halen?
It's worlds apart because the music is worlds apart. The music here is not guitar-based. The music here is a variety of influences. And there are guitar solos, but they're closer to the solos of things like the Beatles or the Kinks, as opposed to Edward, who at one time was a great innovator. He had compiled a variety of styles that we had learned together playing in bars, playing in dance clubs, in days before I was old enough to drink. We used to have to stay on the little stage, 45-minute sets a night. We had to stay on the stage during the 15-minute breaks because we weren't old enough to drink. Taking all of those various styles of music, whether it was Casey and the Sunshine Band mixed with ZZ Top, and creating something new and innovating with it. And we really had something there. So a lot of music was based around that. And here it's a very different story.
It's uncanny because, having followed you guys all the way from the beginning, his playing doesn't sound the same without you, and your singing doesn't sound the same without him. Not to take away from it now, but it's completely different. It's like really complementing each other, I think.
Sure. Well, we grew together. We learned. We came from the same school, the College of Musical Knowledge, the Road, the beer bar. And there's a certain chemistry.
I might note that I still don't know what Michael Anthony sounds like, although researchers are looking into it now. They're trying to find this somewhere. That's another point altogether.
Point well taken.
He's got to be playing, though. He goes through the movements. He's plugged in.
Sure. He's there.
You tend to be seen as a billboard for a quintessentially American swagger. Are you sensitive to the shortcomings of Americans? That is, are you concerned about the bad names Americans get abroad and concerned about cleaning up that image?
Americans don't have a bad name abroad. People say bad things about Americans, but America and Americans has a tremendous amount to contribute. We'll talk specifically about music. And That's a very aggressive approach. That's a very stylized approach. It's a very social approach. It's inclusive of people. And I think a lot of other countries or other cultures have those basic human ingredients conditioned out of them for one reason or another, and I can't say whether it's good or bad, right or wrong. But they have it conditioned out of them. America is based on the concept of the individual. That's why we left England so long ago. 16-something.
Nobody's counting.
Yeah, it's based on the individual. And the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If it's just a room full of individuals, well, if we're going to compete, and that's what life's about for me, you got to raise your voice. You got to be outgoing. It's more expressive, Henceforth, the John Ford movies, everything's big frying pans, big horses, big guns, And if people truly had such a bad impression of Americans, well, we wouldn't see so many French guys in jeans with cowboy boots, and we wouldn't see on and on,
What you say reminds me of John McEnroe, because to see him go through one of his little fits there kind of makes you cringe in your seat. But then again, his style of play is almost uniquely American because it's so different and it's like free.
These are human qualities that all people have. It's simply a case of conditioning. We talk about aggressiveness. We talk about playing with authority. You talk about McEnroe. You talk about the very focused approach. Wait a minute, are we talking about somebody Japanese?
You think you pretty much, this is, I guess, a pretty good observation, quintessentially American stance to your style?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's based on the individual.
There's also an observation about there's a certain toughness to your music and lyrics. I guess true in a sense. A certain.
Oh yeah. I drill my team constantly and play with authority, play with style, but you can only arrive at that style through a lot of focus, a lot of real strength. Not fake strength, but real strength. Kind of comes from your heart, and that comes from a lot of drill, a lot of practice, a lot of lead with your face. You have to use that if you're going to survive in business, if you're going to survive in anything, survive in music, survive in what have you. Hasn't worked well for me in romance.
So it's not posturing by any means.
No.
It's something from inside.
Yeah.
Can you see that quality in other people immediately, do you think?
No, I don't think it's something you can perceive of immediately, because we all do little dances for each other. We all have affectations that we use, or we all create ourselves. We all invent ourselves based on other people or something that we get out of a magazine. We all do it, and we parade that down the street. But there's always a little crack in the woodwork. We try and hide it. But that is what the rest of the world sees after a point, and that's what the rest of the world remembers about you. The real you will shine through that crack in the woodwork.
I was told that you're almost, you're like one big heap of ego, but that doesn't seem to be the case at all. You're very frank and very straightforward.
No.
Why would people be saying these terrible things about you?
Because most people are based on ego, and they can't perceive that anybody else could do it another way. It's not ego at all here. It's impenetrable spirit, but that's not self-image. That's not self-confidence. I'm not an overly confident person, but I know that my spirit is impenetrable. I can go forever, and I can take you with me. And that doesn't